2018, November 2018, I'm not falling back. I'm talking daylight savings time all year. You should too. The people's time. DST. Daylight savings time all year long. People's time. Don't worry about what the government's doing. We can literally not change the clocks. What are they going to do about it? Kids can go to school 1 hour later. If you're concerned about it being dark in the morning when that time of the year comes around, businesses, jobs can start an hour later. Everything can be pushed back 1 hour. TV shows, news, etc. pushed back 1 hour. The people going to speak on this one. The government, they can have their time. But it's our time, the people's time. If we on it, they're going to have to get on board in terms of that. Because what are they going to do? Lock everybody up? Lock up most of the people, the population? Create this big jail? Create a big human rights crisis? No, I don't think so. They're not going to do that. Because the thing is, daylight savings time, well, it didn't always exist. It didn't happen until around World War I when someone thought of an idea, but hey, let's conserve energy in the United States like they're doing in Germany or what have you. And then it stopped, brought back during World War II, wartime, which they called it. And it really didn't get established until the late 1960s, early 1970s, in terms of the United States being down with daylight savings time. And at that point, once it was established, Arizona backed out, Michigan even backed out, but they jumped back in. And right now, Arizona and Hawaii, in terms of states, don't observe it. Florida is about to be the third state not to observe it, because recently you got a bill passed to be on DST all year long. So they will observe it, but they'll observe it all year. But they're not going to change their clocks, similar to what Arizona and Hawaii does, and also they do in some of the islands, U.S. territories, Puerto Rico, etc. The thing is, when studies were actually conducted, even though this was supposedly backed by science and government scientists or whoever, that energy savings weren't that much. Sometimes you use more energy. And actually the United States in the 70s, it was either 73, 74, 75, had a year-long daylight savings time. We actually found data saying that the biggest issue was just the time for schools, kids being out there at the bus stops and walking to school in the dark. But guess what? Push the start time later, an hour later. Push work time an hour later, so everything is on board with kids and parents. Push TV shows back an hour with the news instead of coming on at 7 for these national news shows and morning. Put it at 8. That's all you gotta do. Keep it that way all year long. Change the clock is just a pain. I don't even understand it. Is it a government conspiracy to try to control us? I don't know. It causes chaos and confusion that we don't need. We've seen studies. We've seen people anecdotally from your own experiences be confused, more tired on the road, more accidents happen when we're dealing with these time changes, especially jumping forward. I'm saying 2018, I ain't falling back. It's the people's time. I'm saying y'all need to get with me and let's just make this happen. Don't worry about what the government talking about. We can make that happen. Locally, every state, you say, you know what? No, I'm not changing my clock. I ain't falling back. I ain't never gonna fall back. Daylight savings time for life all year long. That's how I'm on it. That's how we need to be on it. We need to put an end to this madness. It doesn't need to be. Because you hear a lot of things when you're coming up as a child, maybe on the news, maybe it was even history class. They talk about farmers. Well, guess what? The farmers wasn't down with no daylight savings time. They get up when the roosters start making noise. And to be so concerned with farmers once it actually got enacted in the 1960s, the late 1960s, it's kind of off base anyway. Because at that point in time, agriculture only made up 5% of the workforce, and most agriculture was taking place, and most of the agricultural workers were in the Southeast anyway. So it wasn't like 100 years prior to 1960. It wasn't 1860 when probably I think about over 50% of people were working in agriculture. No, it was only 5% at that point. of people being in agriculture in the late 1960s. We had transitioned to the service economy like it is today. And right now, I'm not sure the number of people working in agriculture, but I know in terms of agriculture, that's only about 5% of the GDP anyway, and 1% only comes from the actual farming. So in terms of farming, food, leather, fishing, all together, is 5% of the U.S. economy. Other stuff's professional and services, etc. So what are we talking about? What are we doing? How do we even allow this to happen? Who's going to enforce these time changes? Is everybody just going along because somebody in the government says, hey, go ahead and do that? What kind of mind control is going on? It makes you think it's a conspiracy. And I don't want to get into no conspiracy theory talk. But hey, I don't know. Is it foreign government control? But it's something that doesn't have to happen. We don't got to tolerate that. The government will get on board with us in terms of this, right? This is something simple. This is something that people can take care of. We don't have to go through all these scientists and legislation and all that mambo jumbo. Nah, that's not happening no more. The people's time, 2018, November, we ain't falling back. Get with me. Let's make this happen. Let's make this a reality. Let's bring some sense and order back to the nation. I had enough. Enough is enough. And there are all kinds of excuses. Even trick-or-treat Halloween, when it got extended middle of last decade, 2005, and maybe it was enacted in 2005, and it got enacted, maybe it's proposed in 2005, maybe it was enacted in 2007, I don't know. It's around that middle of last decade. It's pushed back further until after Halloween. They said they want light at the end of the day for the kids to trick or treat. So I mean, there's always something. Always, you can't win. There's always a supposed business interest. Like what? Just stick to the time and work around it. This is 2018. We ain't gotta take this no more. The people's time. I ain't falling back. That's the movement. Get down with it. Put your foot in the sand this time. Put your foot in the dirt. Put your foot in the ground. Let them know. Send your kids to school an hour later. Go to work an hour later. If everybody does it, that's what it's going to be. That's how it's going to be. I want to go ahead and start that off for 2018. We're killing this time change. And you can remember to change your batteries and your smoke detectors on certain days. Maybe make it your birthday or make it a holiday. Maybe every New Year and every 4th of July. Maybe we'll say change your smoke detectors at that point in testing. Do people even want to bring that up about the time change? How people get in the habit of checking smoke detector batteries and changing them if need be, etc. There's always something. We can work around it. Let's just keep it simple. Not every country in the world does it, especially countries near the equator. And I know with the United States, we have places closer to the equator, places like Alaska, further away, where they're going to have a lot of sunlight in summertime regardless of the situation. So it doesn't even matter for Alaska. But this is where we made the change. We made a change in 2018. No more time change. I'm not falling back. We not falling back. The people's time. Iceberg Jim out. Deuces.